am really excited to share with you my Day in the Life album for 2020. So what I've done so far. So the first day of documenting was March 5th. I played along with Allie as planned. Last year, I also played along, but you can see my kit is still intact for last year and my album is empty. So this year I was determined not only to play along because Day in the Life is one of my favorite projects, but also to get it done and get it in the album, and get those stories made, do the making part. So I jumped in right away over the weekend and got it all done. So today I'm going to share a little walkthrough with you of what I've done for the first Day in the Life for 2020. So let's jump in. All right, so I am using the Day in the Life kit from Allie. That came in this envelope and came with enough things, enough cards and paper products to do 2 Day in the Lives. One day of documenting was March 5th, and supposedly the other one will be later in the fall this year. So I also got the extra shipping tag kit, and then the album, which came with a set of transparencies for both sort of themes of the day. One of them being ing words and one of them being thankful for. So you can see I have most of the colored transparencies left over. I did not use these the way that I thought that I would this time. Let's go through the quick kit really quick. So I also got the shipping tags, which come in a variety of sizes. I used, I think, a couple of those. And then cork hearts, word phrase stickers. You can see I used a few of those. Some chipboard stickers. I love the colors of this kit so much. These are the cards that we're going to use later this year, which are the thankful for. People could have chosen to use them this time. It's, totally personal. Allie was doing the ing words. I followed suit with that because thankful seems like something to do later this year. This is a cute little notepad. So these are just that gummed edge. You can tear these little up, and they're just thin paper, like writing paper. But all around the edge, they say loving this life in the colors from the kit. I'm not sure if you can see that there. It'll focus or not. But yeah, so excited to figure out some ways to use those. These are tiny little like acetate words that have just to do with daily life. So this, love, daily life, and they're all in different colors from the kit. There's an AM, a PM, and a story one, and today are what's left in here. So they're really teeny, but really fun to use. I used one of them so far. And then the final piece of the kit was a stamp set. Right now, feeling thankful for, I want to remember what life looks like right now. Just sort of day in the life phrases. I used the Day in the Life stamp as well as today's gratitude, and you'll see that in the album. So yeah, it's a 3x8 album. It's teal. On the side here, this is how I stamp out all the titles of my album. So this is using the Stanley Jr. alpha set from Ellie's studio, and there's a solid set and a outline, and that is how I've decided that I am using I'm stamping all of my what is this called? Whatever, the binder edges of my albums, and so Day in the Life, and this will be for 2020. So let's jump in. This is just a note to myself about the colors of ink that I used that coordinated with the colors of the kit, so that when I come back in to do the next day, I don't have to redo that work and think about that. So what I did is I stamped out, I had originally had this as my title page, the Day in the Life, and then my March 5th, 2020 date stamped on there. But then I realized that's only one story in this album. So I created this inspired by Allie's Stamp Week, which happened last week, which was so fun. I didn't get to play along as much as I'd like to last week, so going into the weekend I was like, I definitely want to do some stamping. So I picked some colors that matched most of what's in the kit. You can see, if I compare it to the chipboard, pretty similar. From my ink collection, and then just use the day in the life stamp over and over to do some repeated stamping. This card is was a 3x4 card from an LA Studio kit from this year that I had, and then I added a word phrase sticker from another bundle that just says ordinary day on it. On the back, I plan to put a full-size photo, but I don't know what that photo is yet. So this was the last piece that I made in this process. So I'll come back to that. And it may be from now, it may be from later this year, it may be from just some random day, I don't know. Then I actually used 2 of the shipping tags, so this pretty polka dot one and the day in the life one, to sort of kick off the March day in the life. Added some ribbon to the top, that's just from my stash, one of the core cards. And then on the back I used one of the chipboard pieces that says right now, and then 3 word phrase stickers from the kit that I felt like exemplified this day or sort of summed up this day. So happy, taking it in, and simply wonderful, and sort of stacked those, which is fun. Then I used one of the transparency dividers, and I added these stickers here. The today and this life sticker are from an old, I think they're from last year's Week in the Life kit, or Week in the Life add-ons, and I have them in my stash, and I thought they were great for this, and they fit really nicely on that little tiny tab on the divider. So yeah, I just used one as my opening. On the front, I stamped out Hello Real Life. This is from an old, it may be a Week in the Life stamp set. This stamp here, I love this stamp set, but you can see it's just a 3x4 stamp set, so it's something that came in a kit on one of the the half circles, and then I just stapled it in place and added one of the core cards. I was super inspired by Rosie Posey Studio on Instagram. Her name is Lorelei, and she did this during Stamp Week. And she had a different sentiment in here, but I loved that. So, and I was like, oh, I super have that stamp set with all the fun little handwritten days of the week in the rectangles. Totally doing that and borrowing that idea. I may actually even carry this over into my Week in the Life album later this year. We'll see, because I loved it that much. The Loving This is from the Seasons story stamp, and I just printed or stamped that out in a teal ink. So it just says Thursday to indicate the day of the week, because I didn't have that indicated anyplace else. I have the date, but not what day of the week it fell on. And I don't know if that will be significant or not, but the pattern that it created is awesome. So totally loving that. And then what I did, and Allie, I was watching a day in the life video from last year, from 2019, and she talked about the production steps that you go through to create something like this. So first you have to make the decisions about how are you going to incorporate your journaling? What are you going to do for your photos? And once those decisions are made, a lot of times it's just replicating that process. So that was sort of exactly how I worked. The first thing I did, I had my words, I had my photos. I had 2 stories for every ing word. That's how I documented the day. I then had 2 photos that corresponded as well. Most of this I shared on Instagram, but I also just use the Day One app on my phone, and that's where I keep track of all my journaling. So I already had the writing done, so that's actually the part I started with, because I wasn't sure what I was going to do with my photos, but I knew that I wanted my journaling to be on these 3x8 cards from the kit. So I typed out my journaling. I sort of made a template in Photoshop. I actually just have one for 3x8 pages. I measured out the top to see how much space I needed to leave for the title of the card, if you will, and then how much space I needed to leave for the decoration at the bottom. And then I put these all in my printer and just printed out the journaling. So my journaling is all typed, otherwise it wouldn't have fit. And then I stamped using the time rolling stamp. This is from Allie Edwards. and it just has the times on there instead of like dates. You could do dates too, but I like it to use the times, and using it for projects like this. And then I just stamped in, again, colors that coordinated with the kit, the different times of my journaling and photos. Then for each of my photos, I decided to add some sort of embellishment on most of them, whether that, and primarily that was the word phrase stickers. Here I also added the AM little plastic transparent word or letters. So yeah, I was at first debating on doing with the transparencies. There were enough to do sort of one for each word. But the way I had my photos, and because I had 2 stories and 2 photos for every word, it wouldn't sort of flow in my album. There would be an empty page. I didn't want to take more photos to sort of falsely fill that or anything like that. So I just decided to go with 1 3x8 and 2 3x4s for each story, if you will, or each word. So then on the back, I have eating. So these photos correspond with learning. Then on the back, it's the opposite. These photos correspond with the eating. So I'm telling my stories there. Again, more word phrase stickers. These are from that Week in the Life set. Watching. Photos to go along with watching. Listening, my stories and photos. Wearing. So 2 stories about things that I'm wearing. For some of the photos, I decided to go with black and white because there was either a lot of color or the color was a little off. So that's also consistent in that occasionally you will see a black and white photo. It's not like there's just one in there. Going, feeling, working, and those stories were short because this was not a day that I did a lot of work. More a day that was more social. And then loving. And so what I did for loving is I used another of the transparencies, just the next one in the set. You can see this is like the top notch and this is the second, you know, if they're divided or tabbed. And I have one loving story, and then I wrote about gratitude for how much I love this project and sort of a little bit of reflection about why. I added, so that's where I used the today's gratitude stamp from the kit stamp set. And then I added a piece of chipboard that says just loving all these things. And then on what I did here is this transparency is just another one that I used to add one photo, because I only had one photo because I only told one story for loving. And I added another, I wanted some sort of tie-in with the beginning. So the colors are similar in that they're sort of like an orangey pink color and stripes. And then I wanted this half circle here too. So then I just added it in place with a cork heart, that's a heart, cork heart, and another chipboard piece. And so this will close out March in my Day in the Life album. And so on the back, you can see I still have the space. So I may do the same thing as a transition into the later, you know, the one that will, Day in the Life project that'll come this fall. And then what I have in the back here is just this thankful tabbed divider at the top. That'll be for that section. And then some of the cards and extra page protectors for that. Yeah, so there's my Day in the Life. Super simple, but super done. Again, I didn't have a lot of success with getting it done and in the album last year, so I wanted to make sure that I did that this year. So it's done, it's in the album, and I can now put this on my shelf and wait until the next Day in the Life documenting comes along, and then hopefully finish the project as quickly as I was able to finish this one, going back through. So I'd love to hear your thoughts about Day in the Life, if you participated, how you are documenting it, what you are making in terms of, are you using the kit? Did you use something else? What's your format? I'd love to hear that. So leave me a comment below. If you've got any questions, let me know those as well. Happy to answer that and share any more information that I might have missed. And otherwise, I hope you enjoyed the Day in the Life project. I hope you enjoyed this walkthrough. If you feel moved to, please consider giving a thumbs up and subscribing to my channel. Have a great day. Thanks.